Hello, hello, it's Tara here again to bring you some home healthy cooking. And today is Slammin' Sunday. I needed a name, it's Sunday. If you're like me, Sunday is a day where you might prep food for the week so that you can have healthy meals and snacks ready to go. So this morning is no exception, and I got up, I made my morning mojo. I've got my coffee here that I keep reheating because I'm doing all kinds of things, and I've got delicious gluten-free banana bread in the oven, and now I'm working on tofu. So tofu is one of those things that people love to hate. But when you learn how to make tofu the correct way, which I've recently learned, it can blow your mind. So I have made in the past fresh restaurants version of marinade tofu, which I do love and will still make. But I recently discovered a cookbook that if you are going vegetarian, which we're choosing to have more vegetarian options, you must get this. It's called Thug Kitchen. So if you don't like swear words, you might want to avoid this book. But everything I've made so far from this is amazing. And the big thing is the tofu. This whole page is about describing how to make the tofu, and they basically say, just follow these steps, do not take shortcuts, just follow them. And I've made this now, I've tried 3 of the marinades here, and I've made it 4 times, and it's amazing and will blow your mind. So I'm gonna make one of the recipes today for you, just to show you about the process, and pick up the cookbook, you'll love it. I'm sure there's recipes as well online. So tofu comes in various forms. It's usually in some sort of block. This is what I have here. I always buy organic tofu. I know tofu gets a bad rap because soy is one of the things that's, I think, the highest GMO'd item around, but it is very high in protein, and if you get a good brand and you get organic, and I think you might be able to get non-GMO, or at least, I don't know, some sort of friendly thing, it's probably no worse than, if you don't buy really good meat. So the first thing you do is drain it, and I've already drained this. As you can see, it's pretty dry. So then the next step, which is really critical, and this will allow it to absorb as much of the marinade as possible, is you take your tofu, you wrap it in a clean tea towel. So I've got this pretty big one, so I'm just gonna wrap it, because we want to get all the liquid out of it as possible. And then what I do is I put it on one plate like this. I'll take another plate and reverse it. And then you want to put something heavy on it. So the idea is that the tea towel or paper towel, but use a tea towel and just wash it after, will absorb all the liquid, and then get something heavy. And I have this amazing, very large can of tomatoes that I'm gonna make tomato sauce with at some point. And then you just put it on top and leave it like that for about a half an hour. So that's that. So I actually had already done that. I'm just gonna put that aside though while I make the marinade. So they have various marinades in here, and you can probably adapt it to it. But the idea is to use something that's shallow so that all the tofu can be in the bottom of the container and get covered in the marinade. So I'm using a pie plate. You can see I've already put in just over a tablespoon of tomato paste. So I like to buy the tomato paste in the tube if you can find it. This is really nice mutti, which is an Italian tomato paste. It's very tasty, and I think buying good tomato paste makes a huge difference in here. Oh, I forgot to mention the one that I'm making is the Smokey maple marinade, and what it basically tastes like is barbecue sauce, and it's a little thicker than some of the other ones, so when it comes out of the oven, your tofu really tastes like barbecue, whatever, barbecue sauce, something. It's the morning. I don't normally record videos in the morning, so I'm sort of like, oh, quickly put on makeup and let's do this. So I haven't finished my coffee either yet, so I'm just gonna have a sip of that. So talk amongst yourselves. I really do love prepping Sunday mornings. Just like I'll get up and, like I said, make my coffee and get things going. And so that way I have the rest of the day to myself. And the idea about this tofu, it takes a bit of time to make it, but then it's made and in the fridge, and then I can toss it on top of salad for lunches and that sort of thing, and it's ready to go. I sometimes just open the fridge, honestly, and just take one out cold and eat it because it's so good. The last time I made this one for the first time on Friday. It's now Sunday. We ate the entire block. It was so delicious that my partner was saying that I need to make 3 times the amount every time, but I only have 1 block of tofu, so that's all we're gonna make right now. Okay, so it calls for a tablespoon, but I like a little bit more. I made it a little bit saucier, so I added a bit more than a tablespoon. You're gonna take some tamari. So tamari is gluten-free soy sauce. I really like tamari, and I really like this Sanjay brand. So a 1/4 cup of that. So would love to hear about what else people do for Sundays to prep food. I know if you have kids, a great idea is to cut up fruit and clean fruit, and then cut up vegetables and put them in the fridge. I mean, that's good for adults too, because then you're more likely to go in the fridge and snack on those things and maybe something that you don't want to snack on. The benefit of living on my own is that I can control everything that's in my place, and I don't buy things that I don't want to eat mostly. So that's a great thing. But if you can't, then make sure you set yourself up for success by having things prepared so that when you are hungry, everything's there. So, okay, 1/4 cup of tamari, 1/4 cup of vegetable broth or water. I happen to have some delicious homemade vegetable broth. I'm not sure if I've done a video yet on how I make my vegetable broth, but I probably should do that because it's pretty amazing. I'm sure that I've explained it before. Essentially what I do, I think I have, because I think I have used scraps and put scraps away for that. Basically what I do is this vegetable broth costs me absolutely nothing, because I use all the bits of things that come off carrots and onions and celery and, you know, the tops and all that stuff and everything. I put in a bag in the freezer, and then once I have enough of it, I'll put it in the crock pot and basically let it run with water for 8 hours on low, and then I get this beautiful, beautiful stock that I can use for soups and stuff, and it's way more flavorful. And I know that the vegetables that have been used in it are organic, and it's basically free, and it's always there. I usually jar it so that it stays, and then seal them so that it's in the fridge anytime I want to make soup. But anyways, that's a whole other story. All right, we got the tamari in, we got the vegetable broth, we've got the tomato paste. Maple syrup. So I ran out of maple syrup, so went to the market yesterday and I bought this gigantic bad boy. So I live in Canada, and as you probably know, maple syrup's a very Canadian thing, and I was really happy to go to the market and find this really big maple syrup. The reason I don't usually buy such a big one, because I don't use it in, like, I don't make pancakes all the time, although I do have a healthy recipe for really great gluten-free banana pancakes, which are to die for, so I do use it probably more. Oh, there's my buzzer. I should check my banana bread. It's taking way longer than I expected to. Anyway, so I bought this big one because why not? And I really like this marinade. So I'm gonna put this in. So this is 2 tablespoons. Woo, it's heavy. I think I need to put it in a smaller container. So I bought the amber. I was tempted to buy the slightly darker one than this, but because we also use it for pancakes and stuff, I thought I would use this version. The only difference of them is the darker one is, oh my God, that's so good. Cooked a bit longer, and it's better. It's got a stronger taste if you use it in baking. Okay, so that's that. 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke. So I recently found this. It's great in, I think you can sometimes buy it in the grocery store. I did find it at the market, but I did buy the original one at a cocktail store, because it's great. You can put it in cocktails, but I think it was probably cheaper. I don't know how much I paid for it in the cocktail store, but I paid for about $5 Canadian for it at the market. So this is hickory. It's, anyways, real hickory smoke flavor. This is what gives it the barbecue flavor. So it's got a whole tablespoon of that in it. Okay, I've got the table. Okay, it calls for olive oil. I've just run out of olive oil. However, I have this really nice cold press canola oil. So I will use that. It said 1 tablespoon. Okay, and then all right, and then we have a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. I'm just gonna guesstimate it and just give a little, that's probably a good amount, not the whole half. And then finally, some thickly sliced garlic. So these were peeled. And then you just get your fork and you blend this together. You get everything in. Oh my God, it smells divine. I knew when I made this the first time that it was going to be great just for the smell of it. Okay, so now, since my tofu had already been pressed for some time, I can take it and use it now. So here's my block of tofu again. So I'm basically going to cut long strips of it. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can. So I'm going to use a knife. So they say at about 1/4 inch thick. So that's what I'm going to do. And a typical block of tofu will yield about 12 slices. You don't want to make it too thick, and the reason is the tofu, the marinade gets in, especially this one for some reason, gets bleeds into it, and if it's too thick, then your marinade to tofu ratio would be off. I just made that up. And then, whoops, one last piece. If some are thinner, it's okay. What just happens is that they end up getting slightly crispier, and that's all. So I got how many? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, because my first few were a little thick. So basically you just put them in the marinade now. So what I do is I try to get them in. This is not quite big enough for them to all be submersed completely. So what I do is get them in, make sure everything's at least been dunked in the tofu. The marinade. This may not be my best video ever, but I started making this, and then honestly I was like, I should record a video, because honestly this changed my life. This tofu recipe, well, it's changing my life. It makes me love even more doing more vegetarian options. I'm not going to be 100% vegetarian, but I really believe that a plant-based diet is good for you, and also the animals. So there's that too. But I mean, I'm not going to be crazy about it. there we go. So I'm gonna put a couple that are on top and put some on their side. Honestly, like just get them in there. So then, I have to clean my hands. So then, there you go. There's your tofu. So the trick of this is patience. So don't try to do this just before you want to bake it. Do it in the morning before work or on your Sunday and get it marinated, because you want it to be in the marinade at least 2 hours and up to maybe 8, because you really want that marinade to like sink into that tofu. And also, because it's not all completely covered, what I'll do is I'll cover it with a plate or a wrap, put it in the fridge, and then maybe in an hour I'll flip them over and then put the ones that are on top on the bottom, and they all get happy in the marinade. I suppose you could put it in a bag as well and lay the bag flat, but I find this is easier. So that's it, marinade tofu. I'll have to do the second part as a second video later when I go to do this, but because there is quite an interesting baking process. You essentially, well, I can explain it to you now, just in case I don't get to that video, because you never know how the day is going to go. Basically, you prepare a pan with some parchment on it, and then you'll take the tofu out of the marinade, but keep the marinade. Lay them on, with space around them on the tray. You actually cook it at 450 Fahrenheit, which seems really high. But this is why you might want to make, if you have a bigger family, you're definitely going to want to do more than one block at a time. And also 2 of us, hungry 2 of us ate an entire block on Friday night. So just keep that in mind in terms of portion, depending on what you're putting it with. So you put it in the oven and you cook it basically for 15 minutes. You pull it out, you flip them all over, you spoon on some of the marinade on top, you put it back in the oven for 10 minutes. And then after the 10 minutes, you take it out, you flip it one more time, put more marinade on it, and you cook it for another 5 minutes. And then it does get like almost crispy on the outside, a little black, but you have to not be worried about that, because trust me, you do want to cook it the full time. Just be careful if you cut yours really thin, that you might need to slightly cut down that amount. But basically, you want to use all the marinade if you can within those few times. So that's it. Delicious tofu. So don't be afraid of tofu. Tofu's your friend, and it's a great protein to add if you are moving towards vegetarianism or you just want to incorporate more plant-based food in your life. So Tara, happy Slammin' Sunday. I hope yours is amazing. Also Sunday Fun Day. This is fun for me. And have a fantastic day, whatever day you're watching this.